degree. Fourth degree got kind of added in late, right? So our first degree, that's just like our normal, everyday kind of sunburn stuff. We move on to our second degree. This is where we start to blister, stuff like that. Third degree, move on to the point where we're getting deeper into the skin. We can end up with nerve pain to the point where if you get down to the fourth degree, you're through everything and you got bone burning. Okay?
Would you call it that, or would you
No.
use the superficial?
So doing a little old review, right? So now there's a new terminology for all that stuff. So you have superficial partial thickness, you have deep partial thickness, and you have full thickness. All right? They basically break down in this exact kind of way, right? So your superficial is your sunburns, superficial partial. You here. So there's superficial, right? Red skin, sunburn. Yeah, some people that it's a bad day for. Other people they're like yes. All right. Okay, so they heal on their own usually within a couple days. Then you get your superficial partial. These are our formerly known as second degree. These are our blister ones. They blistered up. Do we want to pop these blisters?
No.
No. Do they get popped on accident? Yes. Right? Is it okay if they pop on accident while you're wrapping them up or something like that? Yes. Right? Where do we commonly see these type of injuries in the pre-hospital setting? Hands, right? So, and what location of the house?
Kitchen.
The kitchen, right? So a lot of times it's that hot water. Somebody spills the hot water on their hand. They reach into the oven. They bump something on the stove top. Something along those lines. Okay. Usually it doesn't scar, but sometimes it can leave pigmentation differences. But you're not going to get that scar tissue associated with it. All right. So your deep partial thickness. This is our old third degree. Painful. Oh. Uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So
This
you can see.
fentanyl and ketamine.
Oh, this is a fentanyl and ketamine and fentanyl and ketamine again. Right? So we do not carry enough pain medications on the ambulance for burn patients. Right? So like we're gonna max out everything we can on somebody that is burned like this. Because how many nerves are they affecting here? Every one of them that's there. So
Did you go right for IO?
no, you got IV sites. You got a lot of good IV sites. So where on this is it worse? This down here? Why do you say that?
That's a burn all the way through into the fatty tissue.
So what would you say up here is?
Almost
Way up there,
superficial.
that's almost like
Partial.
superficial.
Okay, so I'm going to take that back a little bit. So if we're saying this is superficial, if you rotate this around, are we down a layer of skin?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we more of the superficial partial thickness
Yeah.
here, right? And so we're getting to that point where we're moving into the deep partial thickness here. Okay?
Any idea what that was from?
I have no clue. Alright. So your full thickness is all the way through, goes all the way, you got a lot of it here, a lot of spots here. This one I didn't really, it doesn't portray a very good picture, but you can see here where you can get some of the deep burn areas. So a lot of the third degree, the full thickness end up with this black tarry type scab looking. It's basically like the charring of the skin. Yeah.
Is that the one where it's like for their chest, because the skin loses its elasticity, they have to sometimes cut into the
Yes.
skin to help?
It's all the way around.
Yep. So if you have circumferential burns, they run. I think I have pictures of it. I may not have. I think I did that one. But yeah. So this person more than likely right here. Yeah, because that looks like that's burn. So this person more likely is gonna end up with some of those as it heals. Okay, where they go in and they slice it to allow. A lot of it depends on what's going on the other side of
How
the
much
chest as well.
stretching?
Okay.
Just because it's going to constrict blood flow as it expands, right?
Yeah.
What are those called?
Yeah, it's like
Circumferential.
Yeah. So the cuts are,
Fasciology.
and so they're commonly from circumferential burns that go all the way around the chest wall.
Yeah.
Do them for like,
I don't know.
like,
I believe they do it for compartment syndrome too,
Okay.
but
Oh, for compartment
Yeah, I
syndrome?
can tell you.
Yeah, they do.
All right, so inhalation injuries, all right? 50% of the deaths related to inhalation injuries related to carbon monoxide poisoning, all right? Displacement of oxygen, asphyxia.
oh.
Oh boy, that's a bad day. That's a bad day for you guys, right?
Is his mustache on there?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that mustache. Singed a little bit.
But it's
It
so
it stayed intact a little bit.
Same with his
Unless I have a real
eyebrows.
high quality one like myself.
Is that water then?
So without all this ET tube and stuff like that, high risk patient,
Yes.
yeah, lots of stuff going on. You got singe, no eyelashes. I mean, you're burned all here. This is a guy that is getting a tube very, very quickly. Okay. Thermal injuries in the upper airways. What are the kinds of things we're looking for with those?
Swallowing the mouth.
Well,
and
airway,
So you gotta get that mouth
Edema.
open. You gotta look in the mouth, in the nose. What are we looking for?
swelling of the airway.
Swelling.
edema in the lungs.
Soot is going to be the first indicator that you need to be very ready to intubate this person. Anytime they have soot in the nose, mouth, around their mouth, any of that, you have to have the high index of suspicion that something happened and is going to irritate to the point where it's going to swell. Okay, so you really have to be proactive in that. Okay. So these are a lot of the signs of inhalation injuries. These ones right here are the ones that we're really looking at, okay?
What's
Wheezing.
lacrimation?
So wheezing, hoarseness, dyspnea, singed hairs, and stridor. Those are all huge flags that are telling us you got to be ready. Got to be ready to intubate this
What's
person.
lacrimation? Conjunctivitis.
Lacrimation, like tears, eyes,
Okay.
lacrimation, defecation. Yeah.
How quickly, I mean, is this gonna be a patient that we go, okay, let's RSI, put an IV in, give them meds, intubate, or is it something like, we don't got time for that even?
No, you have time. You'll have time for meds most of the time, unless you roll up and they've already been 10 minutes into this already, right? So a lot of it, I mean, if they are talking to you beforehand and you have these signs, you have time to draw stuff up. If they are to the point where they are tripod, making crazy noises, not really tracking you, you're way behind. You're still gonna have to RSI them because they're still awake, right? But you're gonna go as fast as you can. Because you guys are awesome at drawing up your stuff.
Not necessarily having to call a doc to get medical permission or.
Nope, that's a trauma. That's a trauma-related incident. That is trauma-related. It's not a medical condition that caused it. So, yeah, it's a trauma. So carbon monoxide is 200 times. Some of the stuff you read is 200. Some of it's 250 times greater affinity for red blood cells over oxygen. Determining the burn severity. So you got percentage of burns. Everybody know how to calculate the burns?
rule of 9 or Palmer.
Yeah, so rule of 9 is the palm of the hand, or the hand. So depth of injury, so a lot of times when they say like trauma activation stuff, they exclude superficial burns in that category. So if you got like 90% of your body superficial burn, it's like, hey, you laid in the sun, that's not trauma activation, right? But as soon as you start getting deeper and deeper into the skin layers, then it starts to affect it. Age of the person, why is that important when it comes to burns? Comorbidity, children, right? They have different sizes at different locations.
Back to the carbon monoxide.
Yep.
Is that going to be just massive amounts of supplemental oxygen?
Yes. Yep, and they may end up in the hyperbaric chamber, depending on the amount that they have. And so a lot of that will come from like, if they were pulled from a fire, if they were pulled out of like there was a room, like say at the U of O, big chemical lab, something exploded, chemicals, an enclosed thing. And so it's something where you have the potential for carbon monoxide, you have the potential for cyanide, and so blood labs are gonna kind of tell you what route they're gonna go with. but what we do costs us. Yep. All right, total body surface, rule of nines, parking burn for the burn formula. All right, so here's your rule of nines. This is a better picture here. Okay, so you guys are gonna need to get this stuff kind of figured out. So you'll notice like special areas 1%. That is one we were talking about, like face, hands, and special area were critical places for trauma activation stuff. So you can have a 1% burn, but it puts you into trauma activation criteria. Okay, so a lot of it just depends on like where the burn is located, because you could end up with like a 8 or 9% burn on the abdomen, and it's not technically, doesn't meet technical requirements. So, okay, so you got, you can see you've got your rule of nines. Everything's calculated down into nines. Your kids is a little bit different. You can see that the head and the legs are different, right? So you got 9 and 9 on each side of the kid's head versus 9 on the adult. All right, Parkland burn formula. You guys are gonna want this. Let's use this over here. I wrote it underneath that same thing, and I can turn this off only. Let's see. Volume. We got 4. All right. Gotta get the other pen. Got 5 minutes. I think burn formula is gonna be the last thing.